Howdy y'all, don't worry, it's just me. I'm back here today with another weekly garden update, Halloween edition. Howdy, Christi here with Little Salty Homesteader. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's a beautiful fall morning after we got about 3 inches of rain overnight. So let's go out here and see what's going on in the garden. All right, kicking it off in the tomato patch as usual. Although for this week's edition, I think I'm going to call it the eggplant patch, because this plant right here, just this one, has 14 eggplants growing on it, all in various sizes, shapes, all of those things. But there's just so many different ones on here. It's incredible. I think at this point I'm going to be making a big batch of baba ganoush because there's far more than we need for pizza right now. But yeah, I mean, all the way down, y'all. It's just crazy. We have some more eggplants. This is 2-in-1, so it's like a bonus. Eggplants all the way down, as you can see here. So really incredible. The Brussels sprouts are still growing right along. And we have this Thai basil that I really need to just cut down at this point. It's starting to fizzle out and die off. So I need to cut it down. There's some oregano that's growing underneath it. I don't even know if you can see the little pink flowers there. That's the oregano. That's just Italian oregano. It is perennial, so it will continue to grow and come back each year. Over here in this bed, as you can see, there are tomatoes growing. You can see where there is some fruit set happening there. And we also have a ton of brassicas in this bed. There are several types of broccoli and some cauliflower, some cowpeas that are kind of on their way out. I could probably cut them down at this point and it would be just fine. There are a few carrots that have managed to grow. They're mostly right there in that location down there. There are also some radishes that I have planted that have germinated really well. And then there's some lettuce from me, chaos sowing lettuce. And then there's some volunteer basil that will die off as soon as the first frost comes. Probably here in a couple of weeks or so. But this bed is looking really great. I fertilized all of the raised beds on Monday with some liquid fertilizer, and there has already been a ton of growth since then, or maybe it was Tuesday. I can't remember. It was one of those days. But here we are. Beautiful, growing, thriving garden. Let me just show you these Super Sue tomatoes here. Right here. Just growing right along. I'm going to kind of attempt to lazy trellis them for now to give these tomatoes some support. Some more tomatoes here. Tomatoes all the way down, as you can see. Porter is the most prolific. I have harvested about 6 for the fall run so far, and I should be able to get a pretty decent harvest before they fizzle out for good for the season. All right, this bed is almost solidly filled. We have collard greens here. These are just looking beautiful. Nice and leafy, really healthy. Still some cowpeas here. These are still doing pretty well. You can see lots of new ones. So I'm just gonna let these keep going until the frost kills them off. And then we have kale at this end, also filling in the bed quite nicely. These plants right here, these dino kale, yes, lacinato, have grown a ton this week after I applied the liquid fertilizer. So this end of the bed should start to fill in, not quite as much as the collard green end, but it will fill this in quite nicely. And then, you know, you won't be able to really see the soil or the mulch that well, but it's looking pretty good, y'all. Fall garden is fall gardening for sure. All right, these beds are starting to look a bit messy as the plants are fizzling out for the end of their season. We have ochre plants losing a lot of their leaves, as you can see on those really tall stems all the way up. They are losing their leaves, although they are still setting quite a bit of okra. So these I'm also just letting go until the frost kills them. I'm harvesting pretty much every day in terms of the okra. This is cardinal basil. I think that the wind from the last few days really kind of knocked these down. So I'll come out and harvest this basil. And there's a little crab spider. I don't know if you can see it right there. Really cute. Anyway, I will come out and harvest this basil. I'll try to create some sort of nice arrangement with it because the flower heads are quite lovely. I do have some zinnias in the flower bed that I can use to create a beautiful fall arrangement. The other things we have going on here, these are rutabagas here in this bed with a lot of leaf damage. Something has been nibbling on the leaves, but we do get new leaf growth, so the plants aren't completely done for yet. Hopefully they will be able to form the rutabaga bulbs, but I'll keep an eye on them and see. I imagine that it is probably grasshoppers causing the most damage because I am still seeing grasshoppers in the garden, which sucks. Bell peppers. These are quite wind damaged after the storm. I feel like I may have just broken a stem. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe I just pulled them apart from each other. We'll see. We'll see what happens here in a little while. Nope. Yeah. Okay. So we have some wind damaged and Christi damaged bell peppers here. I can harvest these and use them in a stir fry. No big deal. Nothing is going to go to waste here, but you can see that there are plenty of bell peppers still growing. I harvested a ripe one yesterday that I'll dehydrate and grind up to use as paprika. Found another broken one on the ground. So a bell pepper stir fry is in our future for sure. But other than what I'm breaking, the bell peppers are doing really well, and I'm really happy with how productive they were this year, especially. That's the best luck that I've had with bell peppers ever, so I'll take it. All right, over here we have more sweet peppers. We have Alessia there, and I'm not sure if it's insect damaged or not, but it's kind of turning red. Shishitos like mad. I really need to harvest them, probably make another stir fry. Maybe I'll blister them and serve them with an aioli. The squash. Last week I was so excited about that squash there, but I don't think it actually got pollinated. It looks like it's kind of shriveling up and dying off. We'll see. I think that maybe there is some squash vine borer damage happening here. I may go ahead and just remove the plant. I don't know. I go back and forth on it. We'll see what happens over the next few days and see if I need to just remove it or let it go. We do have some beets back here that are growing right along. The roly-polies haven't gotten to their seedlings yet, so that's pretty good. Down here we have Ajvarski peppers. You can see how large these get. They get pretty big and then they turn red and they have really thick walls, kind of like these bell peppers, so they make a great paprika as well, which is what I'm trying to grow them for. Turnip right there. I don't have many of the turnip seeds that survived the roly-polies. Let me kind of walk back here. It's pretty swampy after the storm. So there's a couple more there. Then we have this beautiful purple Ruffles basil, purple beauty, bell peppers. You can see that these have set a ton of fruit recently, so that's pretty awesome. You can see 3 or 4 there. All right, over here we finally have the garlic all planted. I actually planted this out on Monday. Yes, this was Monday, and then I fertilized everything with liquid fertilizer, including this garlic patch, on Tuesday. And then it rained overnight, so this soil ought to be nice and moist because, like I said, we got 3 inches of rain in 3 to 4 hours. So a lot of rain very quickly, but that will really help this garlic to do its thing. Next week I plan on mulching everything in the garden really well with some straw mulch. Everything as in the garlic patch and then the raised beds over there. Flower bed is still just absolutely wild, but it's doing really well. You can see that there's lots of flowers blooming all the way down. So it's really colorful out here, really joyful. All of the cover crops that I have are doing their job in terms of the reasons that I planted them. Soil improvement and breaking up the heavy clay and all of that stuff. And then the Snapdragon patch here is also doing pretty well. All of this also got liquid fertilizer. So everything is kind of thriving right now since it hasn't been super hot, and we did get the rain and stuff, so everything is pretty happy. This plant right here is a hollyhock. There's a smaller one right there, and I'm not sure if this is the red one or the black one. I don't remember which one I planted where, so we'll find out next year whenever it blooms. But because these bloom after 2 years and then they die off after they bloom, so I'll have to continuously plant hollyhock each year if I want to see flowers every year afterwards. And then over here is kind of the mirror of that end down there in terms of the things that are growing, the color, the stuff that's doing well. The marigolds here kind of split, I guess you would say, and they're like way out into the yard, so I need to prune these so that whenever we do our last mow of the season, they don't get ran over by the mower, and all of that. So kind of try to lay it that way. There we go. Over here is the bok choy that got transplanted in last week. It's still kind of struggling a little bit, but some of it is doing pretty well. Some of it recovered okay. I think maybe the teeny tiny ones would have been better just direct sown in place, because those are the ones that are having trouble recovering. But the other ones, this is baby Shanghai, and then this is like a purple lady. I think that these are better transplanted than the tiny ones. I think the tiny ones needed to be direct sown. This is actually tatsoi, which is like a Japanese leafy green, kind of comparative to spinach. So that's my goal, is to use these like spinach, just kind of harvest them over the winter and have a spinach like leafy green. All right, the pepper green stalk. Last week I did a really big harvest on the peppers, although there are still several that are growing out here. These Maxi Bells I'm letting ripen on the vine, much like this one is starting to turn red, and then I'll harvest them at that point. These I'm letting ripen out here. Jalapenos, once they reach like a good size, I'll go ahead and harvest those and take them in and process those for pickled jalapenos and whatever else I decide. The Tabascos are slowly getting ripe, so I'm just harvesting them as I come across them. Like there's a few up there, there's a few right here that I can harvest, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to make some hot sauce, but we'll see. Cayennes and Serranos I'm letting ripen out here, and I'm taking in to process. Here's one that's getting ripe there. There's another. I picked a few yesterday. These I will let get some sunshine before I harvest them, so that they don't, so that they're hopefully still a little bit spicy. I don't want to pick them right now since the rain probably diluted their flavor a little bit. This plant lost a lot of its leaves. I don't know. So after I harvest most of the peppers off of here, I'll just cut it down. Strawberries are doing their thing. Almost every pocket has runners deposited into it, so it has spread to take over the entire green stalk from 3 single plants, so that's pretty awesome. I do have a cover for the green stalk, so whenever it is, winter weather time, I can cover the strawberries, hopefully keep them alive. There's a basil, it's a volunteer basil growing in there. Hopefully keep them alive through the winter and then have some spring and summer strawberries. Lime tree, still blooming. I don't understand that. I don't know if these were actually pollinated or not, but there are several little tiny baby limes. If there are, I'll just try to keep them alive through the winter indoors. Lots of volunteer basil growing in here. That will all be my winter basil, so I don't have to go without fresh basil. This green stalk, I cut down the okra plants that were up here, and this Persian basil. I do have several of the super hot peppers growing. There's one right there if you can see it, and then there's another one. There's a few on this plant. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 just right there. So those are habaneros. On the other side I have a Carolina Reaper. So this does have food coming off of it, although the okra didn't do as well as I had hoped it would. I saw it just a second ago. There's one baby okra there, but not a whole ton has come out of the green stalk, which is okay. The mint kind of took over everything, and I really need to just come hack it down and try to get rid of it as best I can. And the focus for this one is going to be more medicinal type herbs. I have several inside that I plan to get started and then transplant out in the spring. So hopefully that will work out all right, work out better than trying to grow food in this green stalk, because this one gets hammered by the sun more than the other 3. So I need to try to find ways that this green stalk will thrive, since food hasn't done the greatest other than this mint. But that is the Halloween edition of the weekly garden update. Most things are looking really great. Some things, like that basil down there, are looking kind of wild and unruly. A few things are just going to continue to fizzle out as we get closer and closer to winter. But overall, the garden is still looking like a beautiful, wonderful space. But that is it for this week's weekly update. If you liked today's video and you want to see how the garden continues to grow and change from week to week, then please like, subscribe, comment, do all those different YouTube things. It is greatly helping my channel. But until next time, go find a way to get those garden manicures. Bye!